The national effort to vaccinate the population will require considerable resources to implement. This is one of our key focus areas this year. The last time we did a vaccination of this scale was in 1959, in response to an outbreak of smallpox, where slightly over 1 million people were vaccinated. The scale of the current effort is larger, but we are also much better prepared. We started planning for this very early on. We have put in place end-to-end processes to meet the cold chain logistics requirements, from delivery and receipt at the airport through to storage and then transport to vaccination sites, so that the quality and efficacy of the vaccines are not compromised. While our healthcare workers are receiving their vaccinations within their healthcare institutions, we are concurrently readying clinics and vaccination centers for others to be vaccinated when it is their turn. Prior bookings will be necessary given the cold chain requirements at the vaccination sites and multi-dose vials of the vaccines. It will also ensure operational efficiency and minimize individual wait times. More information on how to make the booking will be provided later. We encourage everyone to come forward for a vaccination when your turn comes, so that we can increase our coverage as soon as possible. We should also bear in mind that some vaccines, such as the Pfizer-BioNTech, will require 2 doses, 21 days apart, and it will take up to another 14 days after the second dose to achieve maximum protection against the virus. At the same time, we will test our systems thoroughly before ramping up to ensure that vaccination operations proceed smoothly and patient safety is not compromised. There were several questions from members, including Ms. Fumi Ha and Ms. Sylvia Lim, on the safety and efficacy of the vaccines. These concerns are understandable, given the extraordinary speed at which the COVID-19 vaccine have been developed and brought to the market. The speed achieved is the result of a strong and concerted global response to a major pandemic, rather than a compromise of safety standards. Let me assure you that the safety and well-being of Singaporeans is top priority in our vaccination efforts. First of all, the vaccine must be approved by HSA under HSA's Pandemic Special Access Route, or PSA. HSA's scientific and clinical experts apply strict international standards to assess COVID-19 vaccines to ensure that they meet the stipulated high standards of quality, safety, and efficacy. These standards are the same as those used for full vaccine evaluations, except that long-term data from clinical trials will only be evaluated later as the data becomes available. The data that has been reviewed includes those from preclinical studies done in laboratories, clinical trials on human volunteers, manufacturing and quality controls, as well as the ongoing experience with the actual use of the vaccines. The assessment and recommendations for vaccines are also reviewed by HSA's Medicine Advisory Committee and panel of infectious disease experts. HSA will only allow a COVID-19 vaccine to be used if it is assessed to be sufficiently efficacious and safe for use, and only if the benefits of the vaccine are assessed to outweigh the risk of any potential adverse effects from the vaccination. HSA has put the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine through this rigorous review process and has authorized its use. The Moderna and Sinovac vaccines are also currently undergoing the review process. Following HSA's approval, the independent expert committee appointed by MOH has also reviewed the clinical data on safety and efficacy of Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine and has been briefed by HSA on the full range of considerations in granting interim authorization. The expert committee concurs with HSA that the vaccine is suitable for use in Singapore for persons aged 16 years and above for the prevention of COVID-19. In assessing the suitability of vaccine candidates for specific population groups, the expert committee took into consideration 4 key criteria: vaccine safety, vaccine efficacy, vaccine tolerability, and data adequacy of clinical trials. The expert committee has assessed that Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine demonstrated a high vaccine efficacy of 95% in reducing symptomatic COVID-19 disease among persons aged 16 and older, and its safety profile is consistent with that of other established and registered vaccines used in immunization against other diseases. Mr. Melvin Yong asked whether there is any data to show that the current COVID-19 vaccines are effective against the new strains seen in the UK and Europe. Mutations occur in viruses naturally, and different strains can emerge from time to time, especially in a long-drawn pandemic. While this B.1.1.7 strain from UK does appear to be more transmissible, there is currently no evidence that current COVID-19 vaccines are less effective against this strain. Experts have said that it is unlikely that these mutations would impact effectiveness of current vaccines. Vaccine producers such as Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna have also come forward to reassure that their vaccines should protect against this B.1.1.7 variant and are undertaking studies to formally Ms. Cheng Li Hui, Mr. Lim Biao Chuan, and others have asked about potential side effects. Both HSA and the expert committee have studied the data from clinical trials as well as actual experience from vaccinations carried out in other countries. They have factored this into their evaluation before granting authorization or making a recommendation on the use of COVID-19 vaccines. Based on data available today, people who receive the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine may experience side effects such as pain in the injection site, fatigue, fever, muscle aches, or headaches. These are similar to the side effects for other established vaccines, and they usually resolve on their own in a few days. As with all medications and established vaccines, there is a small risk of very rare but serious adverse events that may occur post-vaccination, including allergic reactions. HSA and the expert committee have therefore recommended that those with known severe allergies should not be vaccinated. All vaccine recipients should also be observed on site for 30 minutes post-vaccination so that any severe allergic reactions such as anaphylaxis can be detected and treated promptly. MOH will also introduce a vaccine injury financial assistance program to provide support for persons who suffer a serious adverse event that is assessed to be related to COVID-19 vaccines administered in Singapore. While we expect few to need this, the program will give peace of mind to those taking the vaccination. Further details on the program will be provided in due course. In addition, HSA requires vaccine manufacturers to submit new information continually for active review. HSA and the expert committee will continue to monitor and review the efficacy and safety of COVID-19 vaccines in the local population and internationally. This includes data on specific population subgroups, such as those below age of 16, persons with immunosuppression, or pregnant women who were excluded from initial clinical trials. HSA and expert committee will also look at long-term safety data to detect rare and severe adverse events and study the durability of the protection provided by the vaccines. This ongoing monitoring is the norm expected for any vaccines that first come into use.